Well, I'd like to welcome you to this segment of A Day of Light and Love 2025, which is our online free event that is intended to support, uplift, and inspire people around the world who are experiencing a sense of loss or sadness or grief or separation from those that they love during this most important of seasons. And this segment, I'm absolutely honored to have Vanja Bokun Popovic, who's an independent with me, who's an independent scholar, educator, and expansion-oriented facilitator, which is amazing. And her passion is the practical application on evidence-based scientific knowledge. And she integrates, her focus is integrating like the rift or the distance between the rational and the imaginal. And Vanya, you're in Serbia. You're a mom,
Yes.
you're a wife, you're a mom, you're a business owner, you're a writer, you're Dr. Vanja Bokun Popovic. She has a PhD. You're a thinker, I have to say. You're a thinker. And I always glean so much from your perspective. And I know that those watching this will as well. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you get the party started, so to speak, because you will bring any number of um, innovative ideas. So welcome and thank you for being here. You're one of the alumni. You're one of the OGs. Like you've been here every single year, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jean, as we like to call you.
Mm.
It's been such a pleasure and such an honor to be part of this community. And I want to wish happy holidays to all of the beautiful souls that are here with us. And to say, what a way to say goodbye to this year, huh? What a ride it has been.
Yes.
Yesterday, somebody sent me on Instagram, sent me this little meme that said, 2025 be like, but did you die? And it's a reference to the movie Hangover. You know, when they're saying how bad it was, the night was, and the little guy comes in, he's like, but did you die? So 2025 has been so much like that. And I would really like for both of us and for the audience alike, whew, to give ourselves some space to really understand that we haven't been fully alone in this year, that so many people are collapsing. Heck, the economy has been collapsing in some of the leading countries around the world, or so it seems. And I think besides all the vulnerable groups that are usually being discussed, one big group has been collapsing this year as well. And I think you've been seeing that in your practice. I've been seeing it in my client practice. I've been discussing this with colleagues. Also because some of us have collapsed this year as well. And the women that I'm talking about are high achieving, goal-oriented, responsible workaholics, women who are always really held by their work, by the motherhood, by holding the weight of the world. This year has been so difficult for many of us, and I consider myself one of those women as well. And I'm really excited today to talk about a capacity and to really talk about resilience and to talk about it in the light of the year that we're saying goodbye to, in the light of the year 2025 and in the light of the coming year 2026. Would that be okay with you?
I love that. Absolutely. I love that.
Yes, and one of the things this whole year, the major theme has been it has been emerging in different groups that I worked with in working with clients one-on-one, consulting with colleagues, working with supervisors, with mentors. I've held this image, and it's an image of, you know, when you pull out a piece of fabric like when you're purchasing fabric and then you want to pull it out to see how big it is or what the texture of it is. It feels like 2025 has been such a stretch. You
Oh,
know, you pull out all the resources, you think that you're winning, you're holding everything together, and then suddenly you realize that things keep coming at you and that there's no more fabric to stretch. And what has been very difficult for many women to accept is basically that our resilience does have something called full capacity until we begin overflowing in not so many pleasant ways.
mm.
And
You're saying overflowing beyond your present capacity.
exactly, thank you. Thank you for helping me word that. And I have also been one of those women, and having gone through these cycles of, I wouldn't say typical burnout. This is more like, oh, I'm about to burn at the stakes. I gotta rise again. I have to do my Phoenix magic again.
Ah, yes.
Except that this time around, there's so many global events
Yeah.
influencing every minute of our days. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, why this year feels so much different than any previous year is that so many other people are functioning beyond their capacity. And that means that when you walk into the store, you don't know how many people are going to say, hey, good morning, what can I do for you? So many people have completely forgot how to be kind, to be courteous, how to lift our eyes, meet the other person, greet the other person. And these are so important for the health of our nervous system. And this is where the strength and the resilience of our community comes into play, because when we have diverse experiences, when some of the people in the community are going through difficult times and some other people are going through not so difficult times, our community has a tendency of absorbing our pain in such a way that if we're upset and we're walking down the street and we see a neighbor and we say, hey, good morning, how are you, yada, 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 something lifts. Our heaviness lifts. We're being greeted by another human. And currently, so many people are stretching beyond their capacity. And one of the signs of that is anger, is this inability to stay with the other, is lack of understanding, lack of compassion, lack of empathy. And 2025 this year has been so much challenging and so complex compared to any other crisis, any previous years that we have gone through, because so many other people, not just ourselves or our family members, somebody else, but so many other people are at the capacity as well.
Yeah.
Would you like to comment on that? I'm really curious
I'm
if.
I'm digesting like what you've said, and I'm thinking about you've layered a lot of externalities that actually impact us internally,
Mm-hmm.
but they are externalities, but they still they're huge, and I hadn't really contemplated that. And that's what you saw me contemplating. That's
I
what I
saw
was,
your wheels spinning. I
yeah, I was like,
did.
wow, yes. Because it's not just so there's a capacity that we have, especially as driven individuals, right? There's a capacity that we keep stretching, right? But you're right. This year, there has been a tremendous amount of energetic forces that are
Yeah.
we're bombarded. We even can seek to block them consciously, but they're still bombarding us subconsciously. And we're in our stretch of our capacity. And then we have this new level of living in this world with all of these parts that really, many of them, probably most of them, are outside of our influence.
Yes.
And when we're concerned, though, it's like a circle of concern I listened to a podcast one, Circle of Concern versus Circle of Influence. This stuff is beyond, it's beyond like what part of it can we influence? I guess
Mhm.
that becomes a question. And then integrating that into the daily demands of whatever you do. Your mom, you
Yep.
have two young children. They have any number of things going on, right? That you're being, so you have the role of the parent. And also this year, you operated almost completely as a single parent because your
Did.
husband was um, leading
A
a
water polo team
water
in
polo
China.
team in
Mhm.
China to tremendous victory. I mean, he had a tremendous victory in doing that.
Did.
But that was then your capacity, like even more. And when we take things on like that, it's new territory.
Oh,
We don't
totally.
even know what the demands are going to be that the capacity has to be there to accommodate, right? And then you have all these
Absolutely.
externalities.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a
And
thing.
now you're making me think because my husband used to be a professional water polo player. I never went pro. I was NCAA water polo player, but he decided that water polo was going to be his life. And in the past, even a year before that, 2023, 2024, he was away on another contract. That's basically the only 2 years that we were separated for long periods of time. But the previous contract was much easier for me. I felt the shift into single motherhood, but it wasn't as extreme as this one was this year. And I kept wondering, what is it that is making it so tight? What is it that is? I had 2 car accidents this year. Both times I was rear-ended. I escaped, several other car accidents in the meantime, and I kept wondering what is going on. Why? I don't know about other places, but in Belgrade, Serbia, we have a lot of cars, we have a lot of traffic. It's a big city. This year has marked the record number of car accidents bumping into each other, but also that's due to car accidents. And I think when the final question I asked myself, this was 2 months ago, I'm like, what is going on? 2 months ago, I joined the running team. So I'm back in the sports after so many years of not
Oh my
doing
goodness.
anything athletically, such as being actively involved in let's say an adult running club. And a situation that I found myself in was that we have 15 adults standing and waiting to start the practice, all silent. Nobody's talking to anybody.
Oh,
Everybody, no phones. Nobody's running with the phone. So we're just like standing like this. And I thought to myself, how odd, how odd. So I started talking to people and other chitty chatters, we started conversations, but others weren't chiming in. And I noticed something very different about 2025. So I began studying and anecdotally, just observing, seeing what's happening, and observing how people respond to invites. So to give you an example, in college we used to travel a lot when we were college students. So for example, Jeanne, if you and I were teammates and you were throwing a big birthday party, you would invite all the alumni. So we would travel and oh, we're going to Vegas, oh, we're going to California, oh, we're doing this, or we're doing that. We weren't rich, we're just finding money to get together. Not long ago, a friend of mine called me, and she said, "Did you get the invite from so and so?" I said, "Yeah, how cool." And she goes, "How obnoxious." She's so obnoxious. Why would she expect the soul to come? It's in September and visit her. And that gave me keen ignition, was a spark to start seeing and hearing differently what people were saying during my client calls, during my group calls. So I asked my friend just to meet and just to discuss. She was speaking from the language of burnout. that she's being annoyed when people invite her places.
Mm.
Why would they expect her to spend any money? She's really tired. She needs some time to rest. And I was like, sister, hallelujah, I need some time to rest myself and all these other things. And I just started having these conversations. And what most of the people were saying is that it's been such a difficult year. And one metaphor came to mind, from the Bible. I think other holy scriptures have a similar metaphor. When you're trying to push the camel through the eye of the needle,
Yes.
so it goes along, the bridge, da 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 da, pushing the camel through the eye of the needle. So this whole year, I was looking for the right metaphor. And then one day, bam, I'm like, we're trying to push that camel through the eye of the needle. And it's just too much. Simply the weight of things is too much. But what the main issue is, as we're moving through this year, we think it's just us. We may be thinking that other people have it better than us. If you look at the statistics, one of the big themes on any psychiatric, psychological, mental health conference, one of the main themes is the theme of loneliness. Deb Dana, Stephen Porges, all of these big trauma people, authorities on trauma, they suggest to us when we get together, they say you have to screen people for loneliness. We have a different way of looking into and assessing something called high acuity. High acuity is the person who is coming for coaching or coming for therapy, who on the outside may seem like they're functioning well, but on the inside, their emotions and their sensations are not in the best place.
Yes.
So you can do a coaching. I see you're nodding your head.
I'm getting it. Yes.
You can do a coaching session or a therapy session thinking that everything went fine, and then they go home and they collapse, or they're experiencing some other symptoms. In the past, we would be thinking of high acuity clients as somebody who cannot contain their emotions, who has difficulty or needs help articulating their emotions when there is high pressure, high risk, something. Now we're being advised, well, my supervisors and mentors in brain spotting advise us to have high acuity attitude towards any person we meet.
Wow.
Yes.
I learned that. No, when you're speaking it and you're naming it, I didn't know, that's the TR principle of naming, right? You name something that I didn't know, but as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, I did that to someone. Like I came from the outside representation of how I met them, and then and even her education and all of that. And then the smallest little thing triggered this massive reaction. And I've done enough work to know it wasn't personal to me, but I was the catalyst. Does that make sense?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so now I'm like, oh, I'm more informed because you've named all kinds of components that, yes, you're right. We have to treat, and that's not walking on eggshells around people. I'm not suggesting that. I don't believe in that. But I do believe in intentionally approaching others from a more benign energy because we
I
don't know what's really happening. We just know something is.
exactly. And now you're putting words to what I'm sensing and feeling. This is one of the things when we study somatics, when we get deeper into our body, when we're really using the 90 something percent of our intelligence, we start experiencing things and get to the place of knowing without having the ability to put it in words. And I think that one of the really difficult things that 2025 has brought on us is that we have so many people who are so stressed out that they can't feel anything below their rational mind. And the only thing that does arise and does come as a lived experience is anger, frustration. And one of the things that usually is not discussed, one of the things about anger is that anger is the healing energy for lack of strength, for
Wow.
powerlessness.
Wow.
Any place in us biologically, I've learned this through somatic psychology. I had no idea we had this knowledge 20, 30 years back. And basically it says for every situation where we were powerless, when we were frozen, when we collapsed due to trauma or due to surrender, any of these things, basically the only energy that can heal that is the energy of anger, because that's the fight or flight response.
Interesting.
That's, I'm coming after whatever this is. And so what makes 2025 really difficult on this very individual level is that many people, including some of us, as one would say, not all of us, but definitely some of us,
Yeah.
is that the only emotion that we can strongly connect with is anger. And now let me ask you, and let me ask everybody who's listening, what if in our families anger was a banned emotion? Where does it go? So there are multiple layers to this. And what happens when burnout, many people are on the edge of burnout. What happens when burnout smoothens the edges and allow us to talk without any censorship, any self-censorship? Where does that anger go? And so for us, sometimes to say I'm at my capacity and I cannot take any more of this nonsense, we can turn around and talk nonsense to somebody else without even being aware of that. And so 2025 has been such a year. It's coming. This is the 5th year after COVID, 5th year after the year 2020 that has changed so many things. I don't want to say forever, but it has definitely shifted the timelines. And we're all exhausted. And so yes.
It's almost
yes,
like the reverb, like the pendulum. It's like the reverb of that, the reverb
yes.
energy.
Oh, yes. And I'm inviting, if you resonate with this or if you don't resonate with this, to be with us in the comments, because let's check the pulse. Let's see if this is the lived experience for many of us. Let's deepen the conversation. And this is where expansion comes into play. Okay. This is where expansion comes into play. One of very strong authorities, the person who taught me the most in excuse me, in the therapeutic place, the person who taught me the most about expansion was Lisa Larson of the Pacific Trauma Center back in California. But in the living space, in the transformative space, the person who taught me the most about expansion has been Yvonne. And with the codes of with transcendental rebirthing, with all the tools that she has birthed for all of these years, it was always expansion that was able to really hold these other things at capacity. Would you agree to this?
Yeah,
or maybe
absolutely.
should I go into?
Yeah.
So when we're speaking from it was very interesting to me to learn these things through brain spotting and to study them through brain spotting, because the work that you do, the work that I do, the work that we've done with Yvonne has been a lot in a very nonverbal space, in energetic space, in the spiritual space, in these places where it's difficult to name things because we experience them in such a complex, beautiful way. So I'm giving you an explanation that comes from brain spotting okay? And this is the idea. The hypothesis is that on our inside of our brain, this is the hypothesis, okay? So what we're thinking when we think of trauma, when we think of aggression, when we think of bad choices, when we think of all of these heavy that drive our behavior, we would say that they're placed in the limbic system, in the limbic part of the brain. When we're discussing expansion, what is being hypothesized is that basically we elevate the eagle view. I got the eagle from my daughter's toy box, okay? So basically we're saying that we're spreading the wings and we're flying above trauma. So we're activating and engaging those parts of our brain that don't engage parts that are related to trauma.
Okay.
Okay. And that's why, again, it's a hypothesis. And that's why people can find inspiration, people can find God, people can find these beautiful, enormous ontological experiences, noetic experiences in the hardest of life, in the hardest moments of life. There is something within us, we don't have to name it, I'm sure we've all trusted it at some point, that is able to elevate us above everything that we're experiencing at that moment. It's, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. No.
And so what expansion does? Expansion expands the space. It slowly starts building our capacity for more, but not to hold more stress. We could, but basically more space, more of this makes these big, heavy, hard, intense things smaller. It really expands the brain's capacity for width, for expansion, for massive space. And you know, when we're little, our parents look like big dudes and gals, right? And then when we grow up, they're just adults like us. So it's pretty much the same concept. And so what do we do in trauma work? There are certain feelings, certain emotions, certain states that are really hard and that are tense. You know, if somebody's grieving, somebody has just lost a loved one, it is almost cruel to go poke into those emotions, thinking that we're going to process them. You're not going to process grief, you know, but if you build all this space around that grief gets the right to exist in a very honorable, in a very beautiful way.
And so by default, the capacity just expanded.
Yes, exactly. And so I'm going to shift my chair just to show how sometimes we can easily do this. There are more inspirational ways than what I'm going to show. I'm basically just showing the mechanism. So this background, I love the jungle, okay? But the reason I have this on my background is that I use it with my clients.
Okay.
Okay. So this is from IKEA. I think I paid him maybe $50. Okay. But this painting has done so much for people that is priceless. Why? Because it provides depth into the space. And so for us to really start discussing expansion, experiencing expansion, we have to be either looking and focusing on things that have cosmic depth for us if we're spiritual thinkers and feelers. Maybe we will find inspiration in a glorious night, in a starry sky night. Or we will go to the ocean or go to the river and stare at the horizon. All these things open our perception to wider spaces, much wider spaces. and allow for bigger exhale.
That's why a walk in nature is so
Yes. Yes.
healing.
Yes. And so one of the things that has been making this year very difficult is that we're tied to our chairs. Many people are working online. Many of us are stuck, our thumbs are stuck on the phone. And all these activities really focus our eyes on tunnel vision, on something that's very close to us, close to the eyes, and also something that is life-threatening. You know, we receive all kinds of messages through that phone. And parts of our vision that are linked to wider spaces gets really narrowed.
Yes.
And our life view narrows with it.
Yes.
It goes into tunnel vision. We
Yes.
go everywhere by cars. We're in tight spaces.
Yes.
Okay. So on a day-to-day basis, without doing any of the practical stuff, we are conditioning ourselves to very small spaces of interaction while being exposed to massive amount of information. Some of it which is life-threatening. You know, the end of the world is coming, the World War II, we're collapsing, economy is collapsing. These are pretty heavy messages. Yet we are receiving them in tight spaces. I see your wheel spinning.
Yeah, I got
Are
it.
we on the right track? Are we onto something here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so one of the reasons that I have this, my beautiful IKEA $1 million painting here, is that sometimes when I work with clients, I just move aside. And I just let the client stare into the space. And we look where it feels really relaxing. We observe which part of this image is really inviting. And then we spend some time there. Let me show you something else. I think your Zoom is going to allow me to share something. Today I was working on this image. I'm using it for this incredible class, incredible group of women that I'm working with right now. I was using AI to design an image that is going to be activating, psychoactivating, but in a very flowy, very expansive way. And let me know if I've succeeded.
Yeah.
This is the idea behind this.
It draws you in. It's very compelling.
It is. And it has these flowy, expansive geometry that is flowing, that is radiating in different spaces. And so in 2025, if 2025 has done something to us as a collective, it's been really to push us to the edges of our resilience, to the edges of what we can do, or what we have to do, or what we must do. I think the big thing about 2026 is really going to be how to stretch our limits of experiencing things, limits of feelings. And how because some of us are pretty much forced into it. So many people that I work with, I'm pretty sure that you work with, it's a common theme, especially for high performers, high achievers, really dealing with the limits of the now. Dealing with the limits of when we're stretched beyond our capacity. And the only thing we really know is how to push harder.
Yeah.
2026, I didn't think it's going to be forgiving. I don't think so.
So what are the steps that you encourage people to take as we wrap up?
As we wrap up, I definitely encourage people to renegotiate the relationship with AI. In my opinion, psychedelics and AI are bringing in absolutely new ways of experiencing and of expanding our views, expanding our horizons. but also bringing us into the space of feeling, into the space of being, and offering new ways of thinking, new ways of perceiving, and really rethinking, are we so much defined by our doings? We're the Westerners, we're all about the achievements, all about accumulation of wealth, all about things that we can materially show. 2026 is asking for something else. And so my suggestion is to research how we can, for ourselves, create allies, create healthy ways, ethical ways to really get to know AI in the capacity that helps us build our own capacity.
Okay.
And there are multiple ways for that. And absolutely to commune with nature, to commune with art, to get our eyes to open the eye view in wide spaces, open spaces, and get to see how we can get more of this purple dress, moving purple
Yes.
dress.
Yes.
Yes, going to meet the brilliant future ahead of us.
Yes. I see
Does
that.
that make any sense?
It does. It absolutely does. I'll tell you, to simplify, just go take a walk. And hopefully, if there's some trees or
Mm-hmm.
it's not a lot of cars driving by, or, go take a hike or go take a run. You're a runner. Um, Sometimes digging in the soil, like right now, it's very
Yes.
winter here where I am. There's no digging in the soil, but digging in the soil, there's something about that there's a reset of sorts, but it's expansive. So,
It is.
I mean, that's the opposite side of the scale from AI. But
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. So I think the main message is that 2025, and we can continue this discussion in the comments section, it has been a different year. And if we feel stretched and if we feel that we are at our capacity, that's because it's been a year like that. And
And also the message that you're bringing is you're not alone. It doesn't
absolutely not.
matter, appearance versus reality thing. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
what the appearance is. Everyone is managing this this world energy. You're managing it, even though you're living in like we can reduce ourselves, but we
Oh
might have
yeah,
done
to a
that.
customized world,
And we
customized.
might
Yeah.
have done that, but we might have, like you said, you're in a car, you're on a phone, you're sitting at your desk, and I almost feel like the COVID isolation, that part, still remnants of that is what you're really talking about here, where
Oh, absolutely.
it's like, but it's a reducer.
Yes.
And I think recognizing that is like the first step to
Hmm.
recovery, is just recognizing it and recognizing that, like you say, when you go somewhere and people are standing very with their energetic walls, a smile may be all that that person can receive. They may not need a
Hmm.
word, right? Yet other people may be more open. But I do think naming it, you've named it, and that's very powerful. The naming is so powerful. And now my wheels are really turning, and I'm going to see this everywhere. But I do want people who are watching this to know that, if you recognize if what Vanya is saying here resonates or it sparked something, continue. Get that expansion underway. I feel like it's a perpetual thing.
I heard the sentence, okay? It came with a course. This person was promoting her course, and she's one of the elders in the trauma field. I'm not going to name her for very specific reasons, but she's incredible. And she said, if you can pay for my course, this is the regular price. And if you can't, here's a discount. And if you can't pay that either, just come. we will meet you with the open arms.
Love that.
I read that sentence daily.
I love that.
And that's the point of what we're discussing here. We need more of that energy in the field.
Yeah. Obviously, money and oxygen, you got to have them to get through the day today. But
Yes.
I do think that that right there, like meeting people where they're at, and we don't necessarily know where they're at, but if we listen, if we're intentional I think that's Stephen Covey, seek to understand before being
Mm-hmm.
understood, that's a really good principle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always. It's always
Thank
like we
you.
could go on for hours, but we don't have
Yes,
that time
yes,
here in
yes,
this event. But
yes.
gosh, I'd love to have another conversation with you around this.
Me too. We'll schedule something, and I'm greeting you all from Serbia with my arms open, and hopefully we'll have more of these hugs in 2026.
Thank you so very much for
Thank you.
sharing your genius. I
Thank you.
appreciate you very much.
Likewise.
Love to
Likewise.
all. Love to
Likewise.
all who are watching.
Love to all. Happy holidays.
Expand, expand, expand.
Expand, expand. There's more of us and more and more and more.
Yeah. Love you, Vanya.
Love you too. Bye-bye.